Hey feasters, and welcome to episode 109. And today's show is for you if you struggle with keeping your clients and leads from rambling on and on and on. I'm going to share with you two things that will keep the conversation moving and on track. Welcome to the Ask Rezzz podcast. I'm Jason, and I'm here to help you get past those bumps in the road, those struggles, those things that hold you back from building an amazing and profitable freelance business each and every single day. And today's question comes by way of a free strategy session that you can only get through my newsletter. And the question is, how do I keep a lead focused on the conversation at hand and not get too far off topic? You are going to come across this, if you haven't already, in your freelance business, where people will want to talk and talk and talk and talk. It's going to happen, whether that's on initial sales calls or kickoff calls or even just weekly status calls. People want to bounce ideas around. They want to share their thoughts about future plans, or they just may want to talk to you about the weekend because, well, they don't have anybody else to talk to. But as a professional, it's your job to protect your time, which protects your profits. And I want to share with you two things that I use to keep the conversation going. Before I do that, though, you may be in different spots in your freelance career than I or a colleague of yours. You've got different needs and questions. Well, I've got the answer for you. Minifigs and gremlins. You can get a customized playlist of Ask Rezzz episodes based around you, your business, and your experience. Head on over to AskRezzz.com today to get your customized playlist made by those minifigs and gremlins, directed by me, of course, that are handpicked especially for you. When you have a phone conversation or video chat, always set a time limit and agenda for that call. These will be two lifesavers for you to keep that conversation on point, focused, and effective. This is especially true with sales calls. When you are on a sales call, oftentimes the lead will want to unpack and explore their project with you. They'll want to define the requirements of their projects with you on the line. This is a surefire way for you to lose time and money. This always turns those half-hour calls into an hour-and-a-half calls. So before you hop on that call, define the parameters of that call. For example, that it's a 30-minute call to talk about any specific questions about the project. And if at the end of the call, the next steps are not clearly defined, another call will need to be scheduled. For me, this is where I transition into a paid discovery. I explain that the initial call is a free 30-minute conversation. But if at the end I can't define that scope of work, then we will need a paid discovery session. I go into what that looks like, which basically in a nutshell is a paid 2-hour session in which we deep dive on the business and outline the scope of work. Because I let the lead know this prior to getting on the call, I frame the conversation in a way that if they want to take over the conversation and talk off topic, then it could potentially cost them money to move forward. Now, during the call, that doesn't mean that I'm going to be some warden to keep things on track and only focus on the topic of conversation, but I'm going to be mindful of the time spent. I'll say things like, we've got 10 minutes left for what we scheduled for this call, and I want to be respectful of your time today. Is there anything else that we need to cover? Things like that will prompt the conversation back on track if it's gone astray. It'll also trigger my email that I know they've read before. Now, how do I know that they've read this email before? Because inside that email is the link that they used to schedule this call that we're on right now. So there's never any excuse for going over time unless we both allow it. There's not a surprise of what that next step in working together is, and that potentially could be a paid engagement. Everything is set up front and center, which keeps me, them, and the topic of discussion on track. So to sum this up nicely, 1, set the agenda and email it along with the link to schedule the call. 2, set a time limit for that call. And 3, set the expectations about what could happen as a potential next step. If you have a question, ask Rezzz. That's me, by leaving me a tweet or going to askrezzz.com and find that little green chat bubble in the bottom right corner, and I'll be happy to answer it for you. Until next time, it's your time to live in the feast.